everybody, it's Holly, and I want to show you how I do movable arms and legs. I love this option for crochet dolls because, you know, usually you just like make the legs and they go right into the body, and then, you know, if you want them to sit in a chair, which my daughter always wants her dolls in a chair, in a car seat, in a stroller, she's just like that. You have to just like squish them in half, and I really don't like that. So I found this out and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So what you're going to need is your doll and its body completely finished out. I call these my bowling pins. Whenever I get this far, I'm like, look honey, I have a bowling pin. Nobody laughs, just me. But anyways, you're going to need legs and arms. Hi. Anyways, fully finished out. Don't leave any openings because we're going to attach them a different way. Of course, you're going to need some other stuff. You're going to need a pair of scissors. Chop, chop, chop. You're going to need... some teeny tiny, or not teeny tiny, big, what are these? Stitch markers. You're going to need some big stitch markers to mark your place so that you don't end up with an arm in the front and one in the back. That's just weird looking. You're going to need some heavy duty thread or some clear fishing line that's got like, it's just really strong. I can't remember the word. I'm sure my husband would tell me, but he won't. Anyways. I got this from my mother. It was a gift. I don't know where she got it, but it's just, I think it's like embroidery or like for upholstery, like sewing furniture together. I don't know. It's super, super strong, and like I have tried to break this and I cannot. I even had my husband try to break it and he couldn't. Well, he could, but he had to really try. So you need your thread. Like I said, do not use regular sewing thread. The arms and legs will snap just right off because they'll get spun in there. They will snap right off. You want heavy duty thread of some sort or some fishing line. Clear fishing line is always great. And then the last thing you're going to need is a needle. You can use a teeny tiny regular yarn needle, but I just find it easier if I have a big gigantic one to work with. My husband actually made me this so that it was easier for me to put these arms and legs on my dolls because I just have trouble with the little one. But I believe you can find needles this big or roughly this big in Joann's, I believe it's like the upholstery section, you know, like the fabrics there, and then down at the end there's like all the tools you do stuff with. I think it's in there. I saw them, but I don't remember where I saw them. This is all you're going to need, and I am going to now show you how to put these legs and arms on this doll. Okay, so I took a moment and put my stitch markers in where I want them. Looks kind of funny right now, but basically on your doll, whatever kind of doll it is, you're going to find where you want your arms and where you want your legs. And I just use a little stitch marker to help me remember so that when I'm sticking this big needle in, I'm not just guessing. Okay, so next, what we're going to do, we're going to set this aside. Don't need that. We need a giant needle, which I said, again, you can use a regular size needle. I just always tend to go bigger. So, you need a nice long piece. There's going to be plenty of extra, but it's always easier to work with it if you have extra and you're not just like trying to get that little bit in there. So thread your yarn needle, which if it's as big as mine, it's going to be super easy. Okay, you got your long thread here, really long. You're going to want it long. So we're going to start with the legs. Sometimes we start with the hands, but we're going to start with the legs, and you'll be able to just do this. So what you want to do, I'm going to try to do this so that it faces you. Normally I do it so it faces me, but it'll be fine because I'll just be looking at the back. You get your legs. It doesn't matter so much with like my doll's legs, but if you have legs that are distinct left and right, get them laying on the side that you want them on. Now my hands matter because my little hands have these teeny little thumbs on them. And the last thing we want is like a thumb forward and a thumb backwards. So I always have to pay attention, make sure my thumbs are up. So I think maybe we'll start with hands just to make sure. And let me take a look here. I always double check my stitch markers because again, you don't want like a hand that's like over here. That just isn't going to look right on your dolls. So okay, we're going to start with hands. So I always start with the right, but it doesn't really matter which side you start with. I'm right-handed, so I just naturally go that way. You're going to take your yarn needle, which my thread fell right off of. That's not good. Get it back on there. Okay. And you're going to go right here at the very top of your arm or your leg, doesn't really matter which one you're doing here. Go at the very top of them. I go about 2 rows down, and you just want to go in. You want to like put the thumb facing up at you. You want to go in on the side and come out. Go in a hole, come out a hole. Don't split the thread, okay? Go in holes, come out holes. And just go in and just pull and give yourself, you know, leave yourself a nice long tail, because trust me, it's really great to have the long tails on there to tighten down everything. And once you have it on there, you'll see it's hanging on there. Slide back and forth here. It's there. And it's in the right spot. Now you pick up your dowel, and what you're going to do is, I always go at the front of my stitch markers. You decide where, if you're going at the, where they come out the back or where they come out the front. That's your decision, but I always go at the front. I go into that hole. See, just go right into this hole, and I bring my yarn needle all the way around, and all the way around to, sometimes it's a little tricky, to the hole where that stitch marker came out, and I pull it through. Now, careful when you're pulling things through that you don't keep pulling and pull this thread right out of this. It's not a big deal, because you can always go back through and grab it again, but it's just easier. So always leave yourself a long tail, don't pull tight. Now that we're at this point, I don't need these stitch markers anymore. They're kind of in the way, so I'm going to take these 2 out. Okay, and now what we want to do is get our other arm attached. So grab my other arm. I make sure the thumb is facing the way the thumb should be facing. And again, I go up, come down about 2 rows, and this time, because it's on the opposite side, instead of going through, whoa, I almost lost my needle again. Instead of going from front to back, I go from back to front. I go about 2 rows, just go through a couple of stitches through the holes and pull it out. There we go. That's it. Both arms are already on it. Now to complete this, to give your movable arms and legs the trick, here's the magic secret trick, is you go right back through the exact same holes, so that the only thing that is holding this on there is the holes on the arms. So the thread in the center is completely movable, and you could twist the arms and legs and it won't break. I mean, obviously if you sit there and spin and spin and spin a whole bunch, it might break, but out of general use it won't. So I find my hole again, just right here. I can tell because there's a little bit of foam coming out, or well, not foam, but stuffing. I'm going to go right back through that hole, and then I'm going to come around to this side. I'll turn it kind of so you guys can see it. I'm going to come down, find that exact hole, and come out. Pull, and see what I can do here now is I can grab both ends and kind of pull them, and I can see where my arms are going to line up. This one's going to be hard to see until you tie it off. You can stop here. This is perfectly fine. You do not have to go any further. If you feel like you need a little more strength, you can go ahead and go back through the arm, back through the hole, through the other arm, and back across again for a double time. But I find one time, as long as you have strong enough thread, is going to be fine. So now I take my needle off. I take my 2 ends. I've got my 2 ends. I can pull them, whatever I want to do. I want to make sure nobody's twisted. Everybody looks good. You're just going to tie it. Just tie it one time. And what you want to do, it hurts your hands if you got thread, but give it a nice pull, nice and tight. See how they got right on there and cinched right up? Nice tight. And then this thread holds itself. Sometimes if it's fishing line, you're going to have to like keep it tight while you try to tie the knot. And then just go ahead and tie a knot. And now the arms are secure and completely movable on this dowel. They can go around the back, get up. But to get rid of these threads, this is another reason I love this big needle versus using the little ones. I put both of the tail ends back on, and now we're just going to hide them in the body. This is why it's also good to have a nice long string. I go in the hole that is closest to it, and I just go all the way out, probably down to the bottom, and when I do the legs I go up. And I just pull it in, and I give it a little pull, and I snip it off, and then they tuck right up in there. So see, she has arms. She can give a hug, and she can clap, and very cute. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time so you guys make sure you guys saw it. I will do it with the legs. going to get rid of these scraps. We're going to get another long string. I mean, if you're like me, you kind of feel like you're wasting because you're, you know, throwing away so much. But it really is helpful, to me at least, to have the extra length on my thread. Got my needle ready. I got my 2 legs. Again, my legs are non, you know, specific on which side they're on, left or right. They're just legs. But sometimes I do make the dolls with like a specific, you know, like a flower or something. And in which that case, I always pay attention. Okay. So again, we're going to find the leg, get it facing up at us. I go down again about 2 to 3 rows, and I just get the side edge. Just the side edge. Because you don't want the leg to curl in. So just the side edge, and I pull some thread through. Again, I leave myself a nice tail there, and I just lay it down. Now I go back to my stitch marker here, these green ones, and I find the front of my stitch marker. See if I can show you that better. Where it's going in here. And I go in that hole, and then I come across, and it takes a little maneuvering to, you know, get it curved around. But see, I come out a random spot. Don't go. This is why I like the long needle. It gives me more control. But I do have to, quick disclaimer, be very careful. The first time I use this big needle, I stabbed myself so many times. It's not very sharp, but it's sharp enough it hurts. So be very careful. Okay, so we can find, like I said, it's a little guesswork, but oh, I had it and I lost it. There you go. Come out where the stitch marker is. Pull it. Oh, I lost it off the thing again. For some reason, I'm all tangled around scissors. Ooh, I'm a mess today. All right. Let's get this back on here. It's hard with like such a big hole, the thread does fall out easily. So, again, now that I have it in the holes, I'm not going to lose my spot because I see where the thread's coming, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Don't worry about your stuffing. Ooh, I got a little caught. Coming out, you can always fix that up in a minute. Okay, now I'm going to get my other leg again. I'm going to put it toward me, and again, I go from the back now. About 2 rows down, and I just get that edge. Just the inside edge of the leg. I pull it through. Okay, so then I've got my legs here, and I'm going to go back across. Go back in that exact same hole. Sometimes you can take a look, make sure you're in the right spot. Same hole. And then I just had to work myself. Oh, so close. One, there we go. Back through the same hole, and I pull it through. Get rid of my needle now. Done with the giant needle. My leg got a little twisted, so I untwist it. This leg got a little twisted too, so there we go. Now again, all you do, and now with the bodies, I like the legs on there extra tight. So what I do is I get ready to tie the knot. Just get ready to tie the knot here. And when I pull, I give it a really good pull, but I try to squish that body in a little. There we go. So just a real tight on the legs so they're in there good. And then again, just knot it off. Push it down and in there. And then you're going to get your thread or fishing line, whatever it is you have. Now, if you can't get one of these big needles and you have to use a regular size needle, there is something you can do, but you got to be a little careful. If you have just the regular little needles, which I can demonstrate here, you got the little bitty guys here, you can, when you're going in, you can work it through stitches that are like closer, work it through and pull it up, and then go back down that hole and come up another one and work yourself around to the other side if you don't have this big one. You can do that, but you have to be careful that you aren't grabbing any of the thread here, or when you tighten down, it will make your doll pucker. And that always looks weird, so you don't want to do that. So you have to be careful that you're not grabbing any thread, you're just going through the holes. So now that I have this on here again, I find the closest hole to where I tied those legs on, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top. I try not to go through the head here. Come out. Ooh, little tight angle there. Come out, pull it all, cut it, take my scraps and get rid of them, and there we go. Sometimes your legs just get a little turned and your arms get a little funky. You got to kind of fix them up. There she is. She's got legs and arms. She's fully sitting And I just think it's so much cuter when you can make them sit and not have to break them or anything. Or well, like bend them in half. She could stand. My dolls have, whoa, a little acrobatic there. My dolls have stuff in their feet that help them stand. So she can, if I get her just right, she can stand all on her own. Well, she can. I just got to get her just perfect in the right leaning. She can stand all by herself. So that's how I do it. If you guys have any other suggestions or a way to improve on that, feel free to comment down below and let me know. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and like this video if you found it helpful. Please feel free to share with your friends, especially if they're doll makers, so they will love that. And as always, please subscribe. Bye!